Joining us live from Milwaukee is Kellyanne Conway, GOP political consultant and a Fox News contributor. Kellyanne, we announced the order of appearance at the debate tonight on that stage. Take a look at this. It's going to be Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy front and center. Now, you can see the camera angles are obviously going to include the rest of the GOP field. But, you know, if you're in the audience, or even the cameras are always going to gravitate towards center stage. So it looks like Ramaswamy and DeSantis are going to get potentially most of the attention tomorrow night.
Pretty incredible for a 38-year-old tech entrepreneur who was unknown 6 months ago to have that number 2 spot. And as you say, front and center. I think Vivek Ramaswamy already wins the most joy on the job, happy warrior candidate who's going to be on that stage. He just enjoys campaigning, enjoys mixing it up with the mainstream media. John, he rarely says no to an interview invitation, including last night on CNN, where my favorite part of the interview was when Caitlin Collins, the anchor, said something like, "Oh, you don't attack Trump." And he said, "Well, your network and other people do it all the time, so why should I?" And she couldn't really handle that well. The other thing about Vivek is he's kind of stolen a little bit from the woke agenda that has defined in part Ron DeSantis' rise and his governorship in Florida. So if DeSantis can grab a little bit of that back, Ramaswamy has a very good 10-point op-ed in today's New York Post explaining why he's authentic. I think people still, you know, after electing Barack Obama over Hillary Clinton, after electing Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, John, people are still thirsting for some kind of outsider to the system, and Vivek definitely brings that.
You know, you mentioned the op-ed in the New York Post. This is call for number 4 here. He's got 10 truths for the 2024 campaign, as he calls them. The bottom line is he says this: "I'd rather lose this race and speak the truth at every step than win by saying what I am supposed to." You know, we have seen this model before. In 2016, the non-politician politician, the successful business person who comes out of nowhere and suddenly becomes very, very popular. Do you think he can repeat that magic from 2016?
Well, Vivek has really grabbed a lot of magic already, again, going from 0 to second place in some of the polls. And the absence of the OG, the original entrepreneur outsider who knocked the tables over and broke the system in 2016 when I was campaign manager, we saw this all over. We saw when he said forgotten man, forgotten woman, and really forgotten child, back to school choice and educational freedom. People all across this country gravitated toward a billionaire businessman with no political experience. So that model is attractive, but it's particularly attractive, John, when you contrast it to what we already have. The presidency of the United States is a job, and the job description is whatever the voters want it to be. The voters, through our moderators tomorrow night, Brett and Martha, are really doing the job interview, and I believe they still thirst for somebody who has a ton of experience that they can relate to, but not necessarily in politics. Whoever the Republican nominee is going to go up against an octogenarian who's been in Washington for over half a century and represents everything that they think is wrong with Beltway politics, everything they think is wrong, the corruption, the lack of collaboration, the fact that you can enrich yourself even though you have a government salary for half a century. So the contrast on the Republican side to that, through a Trump or a Ramaswamy or others, is pretty stark.
You know, if Ramaswamy or one of the other candidates is going to catch lightning in a bottle beginning tomorrow night, they're going to have to catch a lot of it. Look at the RCP average in the GOP field.
No doubt.
Former President Trump still out there, nearly 56%. DeSantis next at about 15%. Ramaswamy back at 7.1%. The National Review took a look at the field and said this, quote, "Even if one of the candidates surges and sweeps up all the current non-Trump vote, there's simply not enough of it to get to 50% right now." We're raising a question a lot of people have: is it already over?
Well, President Trump knows that, and anybody who's calling him a coward for not showing up doesn't understand he's running as a front runner. And if you're here to introduce yourself to the American people, your vision, your policy agenda, he's already done that. He's been in many debates, and he also has an entire 4-year record of presidential accomplishments for people to see for themselves. So that's his calculation. But you're right. Politics is not about biology or even chemistry. It's about math and science. And the way you win is by getting more votes and more public support than the other part. It's not really that difficult. What Trump has going for him right now, John, is the electability argument, which is an unfamiliar place for Donald Trump. In 2016, we were fighting against that constantly. You're not electable, you can't win, Hillary can't lose. And the irony now is all of the people who are supposed to be more electable than Donald Trump, I'd say namely Ron DeSantis, are losing to Donald Trump on the matter of electability. I predict if Trump is the nominee, that electability will come back in full force in a general election strategy, because that's all the left will have. They'll talk about electability and abortion, obviously January 6th climate change indictments, et cetera. But they're going to go back to electability, and it's probably going to attract a couple third-party candidates. Well,
tomorrow is the first opportunity to make a first impression all at once, and it's going to be an exciting night. Kellyanne Conway, thank you for joining us with the preview. We'll see you again soon.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.